Hello, pirate fans. Rob Morris here with Mobile Pirate Radio. It is Supernatural Saturday. Let's get to it. In 1980, the horror film Death Ship, starring George Kennedy and Richard Crenna, remember him from Rambo, the Colonel? In 1980, they filmed this movie on Dolphin Island. But before filming this movie, there's a lot of work had to be done on the ship, right? For special scenes, special effects, and so forth. Well, they did all the work on this ship prior to filming in Chickasaw, at the port of Chickasaw, Alabama. How about that, huh? A little bit of history for you. Part of the supernatural extent of all these things I'm talking about. As a matter of fact, a friend of mine, Steve Halsey, that I went to school with, worked on that ship. True story, but I digress. Close Encounters of the Third Kind was filmed in 1977. Did you know that the McDonald's on Highway 43 was featured in that film? Mm-hmm. You might have been in the film and didn't even know it. Also, Richard Dreyfuss, it was, who was outside pulling up azalea bushes and stuffing them into the kitchen window to build his model there, in the kitchen. Well, that was filmed also in Chickasaw. How about that? It all ties in, right? It all ties in with everything I'm talking about, and you'll see why in just a minute. Back in 1994, Northwest Utah, the Sherman family bought a 500-acre stretch to start a ranch on, and they stayed there for about 2 years because immediately strange things started happening. They stayed there for 2 whole years, but let me tell you a little bit about what they said had happened, okay? At first, a big wolf they saw about 400 yards away. They could tell it was a wolf. Anyway, started walking across the pasture and all, coming up to them. And when he got about 20 feet away, they could see that this wolf with gray fur, had blue eyes, and its shoulders standing up was as tall as the chest on a 6-foot man. That's about 5 foot tall to the shoulders. Folks, there ain't but one species of wolf that existed on this planet that meets that description and that kind of hugeness, and that's the dire wolf, and it went extinct 10,000 years ago. Mm-hmm. There are no more. Well, there are two dire wolves that were cloned somewhere in Texas, I believe it was, but that's besides the point. Look, the wolf came up to him and was looking at him, and then turned and looked and noticed a calf that was getting real close, curiously, to the fence. The wolf went for it. When it did, the ferociousness of it all, the daddy said, "Go get my gun." He come back out, and the man shot the wolf 5 times with his .357 Magnum, and it didn't even faze the wolf. Eventually, the wolf looked at him and then slowly walked off, but then turned back again. The man got his son to go get his .30-06 rifle that he uses for hunting elk and bringing those big beasts down. He brought the .30-06, shot at it 3 times, even saw the flesh come off of the thing. It didn't seem to faze it at all. They just turned around and started walking away. Well, they started tracking this beast, right? They followed the tracks for a mile, folks. And after a mile, the tracks disappeared. No more wolf. Where did it go, right? Whew, that ain't all. A lot of things started disappearing in the house. Little things like hairbrushes and groceries and that sort. Well, later on, he was digging with this 70-pound auger to put some fence posts in, run some barbed wire for his cattle. Well, he went off for 20 minutes and came back after taking a quick break. And there was no more auger. He couldn't find it anywhere. Nobody else was on the ranch with him. A 500-acre ranch, of y'all, okay? He later found it a few days later, 20 foot up in a tree. A 70-pound auger. Weird, strange things happening. So, strange lights started appearing, orange, green, blue, and all kind of other different colors. A lot of cattle mutilations were happening, and he was a rancher, and that was money, so he was real worried about it. Now, what almost done it in for them, a large orange object appeared and got bigger into the sky. Well, it was dusk, but this orange disc spread out, and in the middle of it was a light blue circle. And out of that light blue circle flew out triangle shaped craft, like from another world into our world. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Now, there's been speculation that there could be a portal there, and I'll tell you more about that in just a minute. More cattle mutilations were happening. I mean, the man was losing money, let fist over hand over fist. Now, in the spring of '95, even more cattle mutilations, and it's like, strange voices could be heard coming from the sky, and an alien sounding voice or whatever. He couldn't make it out. The orbs of every color kept spreading across and making these crackling sounds. Well, on September 5th, 1995, he sold the ranch called Skinwalker Ranch to Robert Bigelow, an aerospace engineer. You might have heard of him. He hired a team of investigators to look into the strangeness of Skinwalker Ranch. Astronaut Edgar Mitchell from the Apollo missions and Jacques Vallée was hired to run the crew. Now, you know about Edgar Mitchell being an Apollo astronaut, but Jacques Vallée, remember Close Encounters of the Third Kind I was talking about? The science professor from France who was in charge of it all? He was playing the character of Jacques Vallée. And here's Robert Bigelow hiring this UFO expert to come work for him. Mm-hmm. Oh, it gets deeper, y'all. It gets deeper. Now, Bigelow Aerospace founded at Skinwalker Ranch, he called it the Aerospace Advanced Space Studies. Interesting, huh? Called BASS. With $22 million, he hired a staff of 50 people. From 2008 to 2010, for 2 years, they studied Skinwalker Ranch. Now, after that, everything was classified. No documents were released. I guess he signed an MDA to keep their mouths shut about what they saw. But that was a while back, and I think all the instruments they really had was a Geiger counter and night vision goggles or binoculars. That's all they had to work with, really, back then, right? Well, Brian Fugel, a Utah real estate titan, bought the ranch, and the rest is now a well-documented TV series on the History Channel called Secret of Skinwalker Ranch. Now, Travis Taylor is the main lead. He's the scientist on this program. And what I like about this guy is he is from Auburn, taught at Auburn. He speaks with that Southern accent that we all love, right? He's like the Doc Holliday in Tombstone. Doc Holliday in Tombstone. He is the science what Doc Holliday was in Tombstone. Southerner sounding smart because he knows what he's talking about. I love the guy. UAP right there. Watch it and you'll get a kick out of it. A lot of strangeness is going on, folks, including with the new equipment they've got these days. They have a spectrum analyzer, okay? And they're picking up these radio signals. But these radio signals aren't like what you'd hear on your radio. These signals are broadcasting at 1.6 gigahertz. Now that is on the low spectrum, okay, of broadcasting. Not only that, folks, 1.6 gigahertz is the frequency that Earth talks to space. NASA to the ISS station, and astronauts going back and forth. 1.6 gigahertz is the communication channel from Earth to space. Really interesting. Not only that, there's a sphere in this triangle on Skinwalker Ranch. They have done scientific experiments on. It's fascinating to watch every episode. They're trying to find out what is going on. But in this sphere that you can't see, it's invisible. Half of it goes underground, the other half on top. 2,000 feet in diameter, okay, all the way around. Drones can't penetrate it, flying, trying to get through it. They shot rockets through it. Some of them just go off course. It's crazy. When you see this program, you'll see what I'm talking about. We're talking about the most unnatural, supernatural phenomenon found anywhere on the planet, folks. In Utah, at the Skinwalker Ranch. It comes on Tuesday nights. Check your local listings for times, but if you want to watch it and tune in, I think you'll find it interesting. Anyway, that's our edition for Supernatural Saturday. Thank you so much for joining me. And tomorrow, be sure to tune in to the Bama Buzzhog and the Big Bird for our Sunday show. Thank you. Thanks again, and have a wonderful Saturday night.